This radio show is a paid placement. Welcome to Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes. I'm Mark Elliott. Glad you're with us today. Mindy McIntosh, the founder and president of McIntosh and Associates, started the company back in 2004. Husband Nolan joined the team in 2018 after taking advantage of his doctorate from Andrews University in physical therapy. Worked in the PT and athletic training world before joining Mindy and her team. You can always go to the website to learn more, wealthmichigan.com. wealthmichigan.com. If you have any questions, am I on the right track for retirement? When can I retire? Do I have enough? Will my money last as long as I do? Will my loved ones be okay if something happens to me? Those are big, big questions. The team at McIntosh and Associates are here to help. It's 877-222-8849. 877-222-8849. No cost, no obligation, no pressure, no judgment either. 877-222-8849. So we're going to talk about a lot of things today on the program, as we always do, but we're going to start with, really, you think about retirement. And retirement, I think, for a lot means kind of the freedom to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, for as long as you can. Independence from the daily grind, if you will. So we're going to tie this in with our nation's Independence Day holiday, right? Hey, we're coming up. It's July 4th. So what kind of family traditions, Mindy, Nolan, you guys can both talk about this. Are there any 4th of July traditions your family is looking forward to this year? Because I can tell you this. My dad would go out and buy firecrackers. My sister loved them. I would take one lighter or whatever and do the pack of Black Cats, chuck them, and call it good. Now, I like watching, the big fireworks shows and all that. I have no interest in firecrackers myself. But you got young kids, so where are you guys in this holiday traditions for Independence Day?
Well, they're always super excited to go with Daddy here and pick out a big old packet of fireworks. The biggest packages that they can find with all these little pop-up sales that we have around here in town. And they love the little poppers, I call them, the little white snappers. Right. No one will know what those are called. They love those. And then it's always tied into, we're going to go watch fireworks somewhere and stay up really late and have all these extra snacks. And so it's usually a fun day of celebration, usually some swimming and family time and fun, and definitely lots of fireworks. And they each get to take a turn of who's picking the next firework for Nolan. So what do you think?
Yeah,
cherry bombs.
We kind of have like a 4-day deal. They pick out some a couple days before, and then on the official day we actually do them. But for a later time, we'll have to tell an interesting story about fireworks and how I probably almost got banned from ever getting them again. So that's something for a later discussion. But yes, we do love to light off our own fireworks. That's what we love living in the country, so we can do that. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. So cherry bombs and all that kind of stuff. Wasn't that the thing when I was growing up? You guys are younger. I don't know. What were the big ones that would just blow up everything? What do they call Nolan, if you're an expert?
I don't know, the M, whatever they call them, the M, I don't know. People would put them in toilets and stuff. It would blow up the toilet. Okay. So M84s or something, I think they called them or something. But
so you never did anything like that as a kid, did you? You weren't.
No. And in Michigan, for the longest time, you couldn't have any fireworks by law that could leave the ground. And so it's just been in the last several years that we've actually been able to purchase them in Michigan where they actually leave the ground. So now it's a whole new world for me.
Life-altering.
Mark, maybe we'll just stick to the sparklers because those are fun too.
There you go. All right, so let's talk about some of the people that you guys meet with to help them with retirement. I would think words like independence and freedom come up when they're talking about their hopes for retirement.
You bet. And they're thinking joy and just smiling, relief. Sometimes when you see them come in and, we had some folks in here just recently and he, had just retired in the 1st of June. And I said, how are you feeling? And they just smiled and just took a deep breath and just kind of sat back in their chair and just said, I don't have to wake up to my alarm anymore. And I can spend more time, with my wife. And they were so happy and relaxed. And, just you could see anything that might have been, either a burden or on their mind. They're just relaxed now knowing, hey, we have what we call their Dream Focused Wealth Plan set up. But it's that peace of mind. It's their comfort and joy. And just, it's an entirely different demeanor. Even we saw a little change, a little pep in their step as they walk through the office, which is pretty fun.
So, Nolan, if retirement means having the freedom to do what you want to do when you want to do it and doing the things that you want to do, how do you and the team at McIntosh and Associates help people create that opportunity?
Well, it's what we talk about all the time. It's how do we create an income plan, right? Because the income is going away. If we're not working anymore, where's the income coming from? And again, getting back to what we talk about, pensions are kind of gone by the wayside, so we can't rely on that for a steady income stream. Social Security is not keeping up with inflation. We know that because Medicare costs are continuing to rise. And then obviously, we can't just sit there and say, okay, let's draw from investments, particularly with the current environment. What are we going to do? So where is our steady income coming from? That's our first satisfactory piece that we need to look at and say, okay, how do we sleep at night knowing that tomorrow we still have a paycheck coming in, just like we did prior? So that's number one. And then number two, we also look at, and we're going to probably talk about this later, but we don't want to necessarily negate the tax situation, right? Because if we have stuff that's in pre-tax entities, then we got to equate for the tax situation that you may incur if you're drawing that for income as well. So that's how we do this, and everybody's situation is different. That's why we walk through this step by step with our clients. I have a very clear written plan, and people that have written plans, statistically speaking, know that they sleep better at night. They're much more confident in their retirement than having a no plan, right, of not knowing where income is coming from and hoping the market makes it. So that's why we walk through them step by step on how we look at those things. And we'd love to be able to do that with our clients and anybody listening. 877-222-8849 is the best number to get a hold of us to get over that income plan so we don't have to worry about what's going on in the market.
So Mindy and Nolan and the team at McIntosh and Associates can help you create your very own dream-focused wealth plan. And it is about you. So it starts with a discovery meeting, which is really where you just sit down and talk about your hopes and dreams and your bucket list. And then the team will help you figure out, well, where's your income going to come from? What about your investment strategies? A lot of people think their investments are their retirement plan. Well, no, they're just a part of it. They're an important part, no question. But really your investment strategies moving forward, accumulation phase, working years, way different than distribution phase, retirement years. It's some different strategies, tax efficient strategies that Nolan touched on, health and long-term care planning, legacy estate planning, Social Security. What about that? Well, it's in the income part. What about Medicare? It's in the healthcare part. A lot of moving pieces. As Nolan said, give the team a call. There's no cost for this. 877-222-8849, 877-222-8849. There's been a new movement, and I think it really kind of started maybe even before the pandemic, I don't know, but it was that people were kind of putting their retirement planning on steroids. They were going to retire in their 40s or early 50s, and there's a lot of strategies and a lot of things you need to understand if you're going to retire at that age, because you're talking about 40-plus year retirement, and that's probably not a goal of a lot of our listeners, but when it comes to the basic concepts of that retirement on steroids, is there something we can learn from that kind of trend, Mindy?
I think what we really need to do is, especially as we're looking at currently right now, what's happening with inflation. And if folks can really look at this kind of bubble that we're in of taxes. So in our opinion, we're talking and helping, kind of walking us alongside folks that as you're younger, when you are putting money away for retirement, whether this is this on fire, retire early, as long as you're putting into all tax-free growth, that is a great way to do so. So if you can go ahead and defer into tax-free, don't take the tax savings now, take them later. It allows you to have tax-free growth. So that way, when they do retire early and they can take money out income tax-free, it gives them a better opportunity there. And if they're planning to retire early, then we also need to plan ahead of what accounts are they going to draw from prior to being 59 and a half, and how much can they carve out of their normal daily budget to make sure they're living well within their means, or maybe really just holding back a little for that retirement timeline to save more, defer more growth, and also when doing so tax efficiently, then we're not worried about tax harvesting later. They've already saved in the appropriate way, and then they're on that journey. So it's always about, it doesn't matter your age, it's just have a plan. It's really important to make sure that we have an income plan, what's happening with healthcare, our retirement planning journey, how are taxes held, and what's important to you and your families. So some folks just, they're real. They understand that life sometimes can be short, or we don't know how many go-go years we're going to have. So let's make sure that when you retire, you're doing those things that you either saved time for, that you dreamed of, or that were on your bucket list. It could be having more picnics because you have more time, not at the office or at your job. It could be not so much manual or physical work, depending on what you're doing. So making sure that you have the time while you're still healthy and feeling well to do these things that might not cost a whole lot of money, or that just by holding back some and investing and saving in the right manner, it allows you that freedom in those retirement years, which can be younger, which gives you more time in the go-go before, we're all going to eventually hit probably some slow-go years later. So the time is now to pick you, start saving appropriately. And, our team is here to help you. Either visit our site at wealthmichigan.com or call our office. We're happy to walk through this and see what your goals are. You can reach us here at 877-222-8849.
We're glad you're with us today for Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes, Mindy and Nolan. We've got a lot to get to today on the program. We're just getting started. Stay with us. We're back right after this.
To learn more about the team at McIntosh & Associates, check out their website anytime at wealthmichigan.com. That's wealthmichigan.com.
According to the U.S. debt clock, in the time you hear this commercial, our nation's debt will go up by $1.5 million. That's $2 billion a day, $15 billion a week. Right now, our debt is more than $30 trillion and climbing fast. The question is, how do we pay it off? The answer is increasing taxes. Now, think about your retirement accounts. Do you want to pay taxes on some of that money now, when rates are historically low, or later, when rates are potentially higher? Whether you should pay taxes now or in retirement depends on a lot of things. Mindy and Nolan McIntosh and the team at McIntosh & Associates know what to look for. Mindy and Nolan can help you create a plan so your retirement is as tax efficient as possible. Call 877-222-8849 to set up a visit with Mindy and Nolan McIntosh and McIntosh & Associates. That's 877-222-8849. Firm offers insurance services and may not give tax advice. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Get started today to develop your own dream-focused wealth plan with the team at McIntosh & Associates. Schedule a complimentary first visit today. Call 877-222-8849.
Welcome back to Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes, Mindy and Nolan. You can always find out more about the team just by going to the website, wealthmichigan.com, wealthmichigan.com. There's a lot of moving pieces when it comes to your retirement planning. And I don't know, especially in the world that we're living in right now, how somebody would feel 100% confident that they could just do this on their own without some guidance. 877-222-8849 is the number to chat with the team at McIntosh & Associates, 877-222-8849. I'm Mark Elliott. There's a lot of moving pieces when it comes to retirement. And I think still today, the number one fear of retirees is the fear of outliving their money. And if that's you, you're not alone, right? It's the number one fear at this point. But we're going to talk about some of the other areas of concern, and that one could be part of this. There's just a lot of moving pieces in retirement. So, Mindy, I'll give this to you right out of the gate. What are some of the biggest concerns that you hear from, not maybe, it could be your clients, but it could also be those that come in for the first time? What are their fears, and how do they look at this? What are some of the biggest concerns for retirement?
Well, usually there's always some of the same fundamental items when they come in that they're fearful of. They're coming in wanting to retire, not knowing really how to put the puzzle pieces together. How do we, we've known how to go to work, we've had employer-sponsored healthcare, and now how do I move the pieces together, and where do I even start to pick health insurance, and oh my goodness, what is it going to cost me? So a lot of times they're fearful of, we know that healthcare is so important, we know the cost can be so high, where would our income come from? How do those moving pieces move together? So they're really taking a look at those items. Those are really the biggest ones, other than, hey, do I have enough? Am I on target? Can I retire, in the next few months, next few years? What does our journey look like? Some new factors that folks are, of course, worried about is what we're seeing with inflation. So every day folks are coming in right now, so, when we're doing some strategic review visits with current clients, we got to increase our food bill cost, and, this is our fuel cost increases. And we're going through that with how we've, put in their inflation. But some of the biggest factors that we're seeing now is taxes potentially being the single biggest factor that separates folks from their retirement dreams. And I still feel like that's the biggest piece that's missing when folks come in. That's why it's so important that create your plan now. Let's look at your dream focused wealth plan, because we need to be as tax favorable as possible so that, we're keeping more of your own hard-earned dollars. And that is one of the biggest things just as we look at tax increases and where we're at today. So let's make sure that just by making some adjustments in even the tax, it allows you to have more in your daily budget. And so we just kind of can wrap all that together for what's actually happening for folks on even a weekly basis of their spending. And then we look 3 months down the road, 6 months and 6 years, and kind of put that plan into play and start rolling with how does this actually work over the next segment of their lifetime.
So, Nolan, in this day and age, right now, inflation certainly is a factor. We're where the Fed is certainly raising the interest rates. They did 0.25%, they did 0.5%, they did 0.75% in 3 consecutive meetings, and there's no sign they're stopping anytime soon. So there's some moving parts here with inflation and market risk, and then with rising interest rates, our bond values are going down, which we thought were the safe area of our retirement portfolio. Mm-hmm. Touch on inflation and market risk, if you would.
Yeah, and it is a concern, right? I mean, and usually what we'd like to see is in a normal environment, you'd see some market fluctuations, and maybe we can return to bonds to be able to, hedge some of the market risk, and, vice versa. When the market's doing well, then we kind of go back and forth. But unfortunately, where we're at currently in the environment is that we have inflation that's out of control. And obviously, interest rates environment's going to continue to rise. They're talking all the way into 2024 now. And the problem is we can't go to bonds, really, to hedge as well as we had to in the past, because that's a correct statement that bonds are going to inversely go down as interest rates go up. So it's like a teeter-totter. But it's one of those things that, Mindy and I always look at it from a different lens. I think a lot of people get scared and they freeze and they say, well, don't do anything and close your eyes and hopefully we can, make it out of this alive. We want to look at it from an opportunity standpoint. So Mindy touched on it a little bit earlier about tax harvesting. There's some strategies that we can look at. A lot of people think asset diversification is more important than tax diversification. That is not the case, particularly with the tax environment we're seeing. We know that taxes are going to continue to rise. 2026 is when this tax law ends, so we're going to see that happen. So maybe we have some opportunities for some tax harvesting. So that's an opportunity right now. Roth conversions. In the market fluctuations like we're seeing, there's a possibility that with a compressed market, kind of like the Slinky effect, right? The Slinky, if it's all the way out when the market was doing really well last year, if we're converting some Roth dollars and we know we want to do that, right now is the time to do it, not wait until the end of the year because it's a compressed market. So therefore, we can convert more shares. If we know we're doing $30,000 of a conversion, we're going to convert more in that $30,000 than we did last year at $30,000. So there's opportunities here, and there's also opportunities in the market, right? When the market's down, that's contrarian investing. So there's some different strategies we can use to hopefully hedge and look at some opportunities when the market's down like this to hopefully when it goes back up, because that is the natural cycle of the market, that it will go back up eventually. Maybe there's some opportunities that we can look at from the market standpoint to help us hedge this inflation from where we're standing. So we want to have a whole picture view. We don't want to just sit there and say, okay, hopefully we can ride out the market. We need to have some safety pieces. We need to have some alternatives for bonds in the current environment if we have a conservative investor. And we also have to look at it from a tax harvesting situation and obviously some possible opportunities in the market when it's compressed. So 877-222-8849 if you want to discuss some of those options on your personal Dream Focus wealth plan. That's a perfect way to get started.
This is Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes, Mindy and Nolan with McIntosh and Associates, 877-222-8849, as Nolan said, with any of your questions. And, we're kind of in an interesting time right now, Mindy. You think about, we were at 0% interest rates. What a great time to buy a car, buy a house, buy things. Because the interest was so low, it was no big deal. You didn't have to have the great credit to get the 60-month car with no interest rate. It was a time to buy. Now, interest rates are rising. And so low interest rate environments really were hindering retirees and savers, because where can you find safe money to make some money safely? Now things are starting to switch. I mean, it's not like CDs are going to be at 5% anytime soon, but this is an interesting dynamic, I would think, for retirees.
Well, it sure is. And I think now more than ever, people are really looking, especially with all the market volatility, they want some sort of safety or peace of mind, knowing that, oh my goodness, especially with when we take a look at, you're right, interest rates, what people can borrow against and that type of thing. But when they look at their actual investments, and especially if they are currently drawing right now, it is so important to make sure that they have a position of safety in their portfolio as well that can give them some growth, right? So not what CDs are paying, not sitting in the bank. We need to try to hedge and keep up with inflation. but we are really instrumental in helping folks to provide safety and a peace of mind on a portion of their funds, removing that from having any sort of market volatility, but still being able to set and implement an income stream for them that is ready for if and when they're ready, that can increase over time and help to hedge inflation and give them total stability that they don't have to worry about, oh my goodness, I just lost X amount of percentage. How do I make that up? And when it looks at interest rates and types of returns, they don't have to take 2 or 3 steps back just to move back forward. So it continues to move them in the right direction, all the while being able to take a look at what's happening in other positions in their portfolio. Not to mention that, yes, if folks aren't paying a whole lot of interest right now, or even if their income isn't real high, sometimes it's a position to get rid of some of the losers in their position in their portfolio. On the flip side, make some adjustments there, and also without hindering really their tax bracket much, to put them back in the green level playing field and back to moving towards positive ground. So a lot of things that we're looking at with moving pieces inside their puzzle. What have we already done? What have we already planned for? So no one's scrambling. It's already been a part of their plan. And then making readjustments and continuing to move with the momentum along the way of as things change in the world. And really just reach out to our team here at 877-222-8849. We can show you in a fun visual way of how these things can work together and really walk alongside you in your focus plan.
So about a minute and a half to go in this segment, Nolan. But you think about it, that, you go back to 2008, the Great Recession, 07 through March of 2009, and then the markets were on a run ever since. But the 401ks were becoming 201ks, and when people get nervous, they tend to go, ooh, I better go to cash. Nobody can time the market. Talk about the fear part of this. With markets going really bumpy, people tend to go to cash, and we know the average investor doesn't do real well compared to just the S&P because they do pull in and out, and I don't know how you do it.
You can't. And so it's one of those things that when we look at things, we don't want to. Now is not the time to do it. I think a lot of people, look at it from the standpoint of, well, it's going to go down from here. I'm going to get out now. Well, now is the worst time to do it, right? I mean, stay true to the game. We have to remember snapshots in time in the market are not always our long-term growth strategy. So we need to look at it from that lens and say, okay, maybe we need to make some tweaks to the portfolio, but not necessarily get out entirely. Now, do we maybe go a little heavier in cash? Yeah, maybe, from a tactical standpoint, but maybe it's one of those things we just change some of the portfolio around a little bit so that way we can, take advantage of certain opportunities. And so that's the biggest thing that a lot of people, again, look through the wrong lens. They look at it from a loss standpoint instead of saying, you know what, long-term strategy-wise, I've been putting in since 08, 09. I've had a massive amount of growth that I obviously probably have not given that back yet. And so it's one of those things that we need to look at it from that perspective. But the problem is we look at it from, if I want to retire, I'm getting close to that, then I need to do this or that or the other. And our strategies are going to be different than what your strategies are going to be. And so that's why sometimes it's good that we sit down with people that aren't retired yet, that are thinking about it, saying this is what the plan is, or there may be some opportunities, even if you're still currently working, and we've talked about it, to do an in-service distribution to get your plan started so that way we can give you more confidence and control and not have to worry so much about inflation and market risks and taxes and health care and things of that nature. So it's one of those things that we walk through plenty of our clients prior to them because they know as they step through the door, they're very confident that they're going to be able to retire without having any issues with income or anything of that nature. So 877-222-8849, best way to get a hold of us. Again, a lot of resources at wealthmichigan.com as well to help you kind of go through currently what we're going through in the environment we're seeing.
So we're talking about retirement concerns on the program right now. We've got more to get to when we come back. This is Wealth Michigan with Mindy and Nolan McIntosh with McIntosh and Associates. Back right after this.
If you're close to retirement, you probably hear about Medicare all the time. When to sign up, how to sign up, what your options are. But have you heard how you might be able to lower your future Medicare costs with proper planning before you retire? It's true. The McIntosh and Associates team can show you how. It's not for everyone, but you could potentially save in future Medicare premiums. See if this strategy could work for you. Call McIntosh and Associates now to set up your visit to start working on your plan. 877-222-8849. That's 877-222-8849. If you want to pay the lowest price for your future Medicare coverage, start planning today. Set up your visit now with the McIntosh and Associates team. Call 877-222-8849. Firm offers insurance services and is not affiliated with the U.S. government. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Schedule your complimentary first visit with the McIntoshes right now. Call 877-222-8849. That's 877-222-8849.
Glad you're with us today for Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes, Mindy and Nolan. I'm Mark Elliott. You can always go to the website to find out more. And when they put on events and the like, you can follow along as well on the website. But a lot of great information on wealthmichigan.com, wealthmichigan.com. Of course, the office located in Freeland, serving the Tri-City area, wealthmichigan.com. The number, if you have any questions, hey, the markets are making me nervous. Inflation is causing me some stress. What do I do? How do I handle all of this? Do I have an actual plan, or do I just have investments? We don't really know how it's all supposed to really help us at the end of the day when it comes to our retirement. Well, that's right in the wheelhouse of the team at McIntosh & Associates. They're here to help. It's 877-222-8849, 877-222-8849. We're talking about retirement concerns. And Mindy started with healthcare, Nolan, so we're going to touch on that a little bit. But there's market risk, inflation risk, tax risk. I wonder, is longevity a factor when it comes to retirement planning?
Oh, my goodness. 100%. I mean, my grandpa's 97. So, I mean, people, like that life expectancy obviously has continued to rise, right? From way back when they started Social Security, I mean, life expectancy was much lower than it is now. So it's a routine that people are living into their 80s and even 90s on a pretty regular basis. And so
that was 1935, Nolan, when FDR started Social Security, and you got it at 65, but the average age was 62.
That's right. So that's the issue, is that we got to make sure that we're looking at longevity, because we can't just sit there and say, okay, well, you're going to pass away at the age of 70, and who cares what happens after that? I mean, you need to make sure that we have, unless you're okay just surviving on Social Security, which may change, from here on out. But it's one of those things that we have to make sure that we're planning for, the what ifs if you do plan to live longer. And again, pensions aren't there anymore. So like my grandpa at 97, he's been collecting a GM pension, a very healthy one, for a very long time, and he retired when he was 55. So you can't plan on that anymore. So how do we help people walk through that? That's a different strategy than most people like to look at, and we love to be able to plan for people that are going to look at, living into their 80s. We always, when we stress test portfolios, we literally go out to the age of 90, because we just want to make sure that we're planning for everything in case something happens, where you do, fortunately, be able to live to 90. So we want to look at that and make sure that we're stress testing the portfolio for longevity, just in case that happens.
So, Mindy, when you think about it, longevity, we don't know how long we're going to be here. If I came in and said, it looks like, Mindy, I'm going to live to 85 years, 6 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days, well, it'd be easy. We got an end date, but we don't have an end date. The other side of that coin is we don't know if ourselves or our loved ones will have health issues. And so Fidelity always puts out a study every year, and I don't know how long they've done it. They haven't done it for like 30 years, but they've done it for, I don't know, maybe 15 or 20. And Fidelity's research, the average 65-year-old couple, healthy, moving forward throughout the rest of their life, not including long-term care. It's talking about your Medicare, benefits you have to pay, the premiums and all of that, plus the out-of-pocket stuff. And back in like 2014, it was $200,000. Today, that number from Fidelity for the average 65-year-old healthy couple that they're going to need for health care in retirement, not including long-term care, is over $300,000 now. Health care is one of the easiest ways to go bankrupt because you did not have a plan. But we don't know how long we're going to live. We don't know if we're going to have health issues. How do you handle all of that?
I think some of the biggest things is just let's not plan if you become one of the 70% that, fall ill or need some sort of long-term care, or, you were flipping the coin for a while because you never took any prescription medications. And now, oh my goodness, your world kind of turned upside down. So if we can always plan for the worst, right, and hope for the best, it's generally speaking the best way to plan, things like long-term care, increased cost of healthcare. And there's two ways we do so. One is we can just do it asset-based. So you're not paying another insurance-like premium to cover some of the increased costs of healthcare and retirement, or even, if you were to be in an assisted living or in a nursing home type of environment. So what can happen is we can make sure that we carve out a portion of your retirement assets, can be IRA or even after-tax money, and let it grow safely and have a conservative measure, which most people most definitely want right now, And if you don't ever use it for nursing home or long-term care, great. It's money that will pass along, if we do it asset-based, tax-free to your loved ones. So it gives you the peace of mind that when or if that happens to you, you don't have to worry about it so much of where am I going to come up with these, hundreds of thousands of dollars if I stay 4 years in the nursing home. And on the flip side, maybe it's just that your health has fallen a little bit or deteriorated some, and now you're seeing the doctor more, you're on extra medications every month, and that prescription cost is just feeling like, oh my gosh, you're hitting what's called the gap, and oh boy, you're paying $300 to $800 a month, if not more, in your prescription costs. So we utilize then where we put your safety in an indexing vehicle, we create and carve out an income to hedge that additional cost that you weren't planning on happening. But guess what? Running behind the scenes, it was all part of your plan. So all we had to do is implement your strategy. We just did this 2 weeks ago with one of our clients who's been on Medicare. He has an investment strategy. We had some safety and guaranteed income ready for when he hit his coverage gap inside of his medical costs. So that way, all of a sudden, his pharmacy bill was going to increase by about 60%. And we were ready to be able to just shift around his portfolio with what was ready to give him that security, because healthcare costs are so high in nursing home, and we're not seeing that change anytime soon.
Yeah, and you think about it. I mean, if you care about your family, this is really important planning, to have something set in place. So all of us would love to be just healthy, and then all of a sudden we go to sleep, we don't wake up. That would be a nice way to end, rather than being sick or kind of labored for a few years. But the idea is have a plan. And the Dream Focused Wealth Plan covers all kinds of areas of retirement, really every area of retirement: income, investment, taxes, healthcare, legacy, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare. It's all part of the Dream Focused Wealth Plan. Call the team. There are a lot of options that you may not even be aware of, that they can maybe open your eyes to something, and you might like, ooh, I like that one, Mindy. Nolan, I like that one. Because there's so many options out there. They need to get a feel for you. What makes the most sense for you in your situation, your lifestyle? What do you want to do in retirement? But they need to know about you, because the Dream Focused Wealth Plan is based on whomever they're sitting down with. Everybody's situation is different. It's 877-222-8849. No cost, no obligation, no pressure. 877-222-8849. So the biggest retirement concerns, number one fear is still the fear of outliving our money. But longevity is a huge factor. Healthcare is a huge factor. We talked about market risk, inflation risk. I want to go back to tax risk for you, Nolan, because we do know that I don't even know what it was called, but the taxes that went into play under Trump in 2018 end in 2025. 2026 revert back to 2017 rates and brackets, which means every bracket goes up about 3 or 4%. So it's not a 3% tax increase. It could be up to 24% tax increase, depending on where you fall into that category. But there's a lot of moving parts here. We know the Biden administration is talking about taxes. They just have other issues right now. Mm-hmm. So where are we? Why are taxes so important, do you think, in retirement?
Well, taxes are important because if you have pre-tax entities, it's not yours. I mean, if you're in a 20% tax bracket plus 4.25 state tax, right, that's a quarter, literally a quarter of your assets before you take money out of it are gone to the IRS. And so we ask people...
Nolan, think about it. We all love Michigan. We all love our country. We want to give back and help as much. Take taxes.
Yeah, right. Good. That's why I ask people, I say, are you into charitable giving? And, oh, no, some people say, no, we give to our church, but that's about it. I'm like, well, you're into charitable giving if you have everything in pre-tax, because you're going to give to the government, and we know what the government does with our money. So it's one of those things that we need to look at a tax strategy now, because the time bomb is ticking at this point, the tax time bomb, and we need to urgently get going on this now to help with strategies. Let's not wait till 2026 and close our eyes and say, oh, I hope we're okay. It's a really, really big strategy that we have helped. It's just as important, right, to save. If we get you to keep more of your money, that's just like getting a 12 or 13% gain in the market. So that's one of those things that we can possibly save hundreds of thousands of dollars for some of our clients based on just tax strategies, not how we asset allocate or how we income plan, just by tax strategies. So it's a really important piece of the puzzle. So 877-222-8849. Very simple way. We actually even have a place on our website that you can look and see what your tax possible implication could be right on our website at wealthmichigan.com. So click on that and fill out some information, and you might be surprised at what you might be paying in taxes.
So a lot of great information on the website, wealthmichigan.com. And if you're like me, you'd go, I really don't want to figure all that out myself. I want to come in and sit down with Mindy and Nolan and talk to them about my situation, see them in person, hear their ideas. I'm open. Let's go. I want to have a retirement that I'm comfortable and confident with and have clarity moving forward. I want to go play golf. I don't want to worry about all this. So I'll let Mindy and Nolan handle that. If that's you, give them a call, because I think it'd be better just to sit down and chat with them about your situation. But you can certainly do all the research you want. I'd say go right to the source of the team that's here to help. McIntosh & Associates, 877-222-8849. Longevity. We don't know how long we're going to be here. Healthcare. We don't know if we're going to have an issue. It's the number one reason that people in retirement or even during their working years have to file for bankruptcy, because they had a health situation that they weren't prepared for. Market risk. We know that's a factor. How do we position our portfolio in times of rough markets? How do we do that? We can't just get out, because we do still need growth. How do we do it? What about inflation risk? Things are costing more and more. You go to the gas pump, you go to the grocery store, everything costs more. Boy, it's really eating into my extra money. I don't have much of it anymore. I'm not saving as much. And then, of course, the taxes. There's a lot of moving parts. The team at McIntosh & Associates here to help. 877-222-8849. 877-222-8849. The best time to start? Right now. 877-222-8849. Back with our final segment of Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes in 1 minute.
To learn more about the team at McIntosh & Associates, check out their website anytime at wealthmichigan.com.
Welcome back to Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes. Mindy McIntosh, the founder and president of McIntosh & Associates, started the company back in 2004. Nolan McIntosh here to help as well as part of the McIntosh & Associates team. If you have any questions about where you are on your road to retirement, it's 877-222-8849, 877-222-8849. And, of course, you can always find out more on the website, wealthmichigan.com, wealthmichigan.com. I'm Mark Elliott. Final segment is always a short one. And Mindy, I know you've been excited for several weeks because you were going, we've got to talk about it. We've got to talk about it. What is it?
You need to take the checklist challenge. Now, come on, especially ladies. I know we like that little junk drawer we have in the kitchen with a little notepad, and we can write out, our little to-dos or things we need done, or for the kiddos or whatever it might be. And then checking it off feels so great, whether you check it or I like to draw a line through it. So I want you to challenge yourself to take what's called our checklist challenge. It's on our website at wealthmichigan.com. And it just talks about how prepared are you for retirement. And it's a 34-point, so it's 34 points. It's a checklist. It will measure your readiness, and it will guide you through just some pressing retirement concerns. And we'll be able to examine then whether you're taking the appropriate level of risk. Have your assets and liabilities, do they kind of stack up? Where are we looking? Should you pay the mortgage off? What's the interest rate? What about refinancing? What does that look like? And what gaps might you have in your current plan? So when we look at this together, it's going to ask you some questions about what have you saved? And, are any of you listening wondering, have I saved enough yet? Or what about the current stock market downturn? When are we going to hit bottom? And what about politics and the policies that could affect you on your retirement journey that we're seeing? And maybe even the single most important thing is these increased tax rates that take such a toll on our retirement. And then we talked about it a little bit even in the segment of what about if you have to go in the nursing home? And wouldn't it be so nice? I just want you to have confidence. I want to make sure you can retire with confidence, and it's so possible for you. But a great first step is just taking this as a measurement for how ready are you? You might score 34, or you might realize that, hey, you know what? I'd really like a little bit more team help from Wealth Michigan here on your Dream Focus Wealth Plan. So I just think it's so important as we take a look to walk through, complete the checklist, and I want you to have the retirement that you are always hoping and dreaming about. Go to our website at wealthmichigan.com. If you have any trouble, call McIntosh & Associates here at 877-222-8849. And it's going to go through questions that go through income. So you'll have a variety of things that go through your income bucket. Maybe a bunch of different check marks there. Medical and healthcare costs. Maybe some advanced financial planning, along with risk management and some tax efficient strategies. So then we'll find out, how did you score? Are you ready for retirement, or do we still have some work to do? And don't do it alone. Again, rely on us here. We'll be so happy to kind of take on the challenge together and work through it together with you inside of your retirement journey. And I hope you have a little bit of fun with this checklist here in these summer days.
Nolan, do you look at it as fun going through the checklist challenge?
I think it's fun. I mean,
It's certainly an eye-opening experience, I think. There's no question. I did it. And I was like, well, I'm 62. I probably have some of these checked. And it was sad.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the issue is that, I mean, I know it's important and, you know, you want your kids to have a good time or whatever it may be to plan for that family vacation. I get it. But ultimately, you know, the checklist is going to help you set up a lot better. That way you don't have to worry about it. Get it done. You know, I'm kind of a person that I'm not a procrastinator. Some are. But, you know, I like to get it done so that way it's out of the way. You don't have to think about it anymore. And obviously, you know, if you use our team, you'll never have to think about it because that's our job, right? This is what we do every day. We enjoy doing this. We love serving our clients every day and doing this for them. So we can go through that checklist with you to make sure that we get it done. And that way you can always just worry about your vacations and planning those instead of having to worry about this part of your life. So if it's not fun for you, it's fun for us. So again, 877-222-8849. Love to be able to go through it with you because that's what we like to do.
So the checklist challenge right on the website, wealthmichigan.com. There's a lot of great information on the website as well. You can find out more about the team, Mindy and Nolan and the team. But there's a lot of things to think about when it comes to retirement. And there's a lot of information on that website as well, including the checklist challenge, wealthmichigan.com.
McIntosh and Associates Incorporated is an independent financial services firm that utilizes a variety of investment and insurance products. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management LLC, AEWM. AEWM and McIntosh and Associates Incorporated are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. McIntosh and Associates Incorporated is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by McIntosh and Associates Incorporated.